Yo, 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 what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? What is happening? Haha, New York reversal, yeah? I'm hoping that is the case, ladies and gentlemen. We have got some very interesting price action that has been rolling out. Now, just to let you know, guys, if the microphone doesn't sound too key, we are currently changing things around. So we're upgrading onto some much better equipment, and we're going to have, hopefully, some clearer sound. So I'm going to try and keep it as cool, calm, and collected. But unless Bitcoin decides to do the madness in the chart, ladies and gentlemen, then of course we're going to have to speed things up. You know how it is. So mad love and respect for everyone passing through to today's live. We have had some news announcements with with the US dollar. So we're going to dive straight into it, ladies and gentlemen, because we have ourselves 30 minutes for the New York futures to respond to today's news announcements regarding inflation. So if you are new to the channel, mad love and respect for passing through. Be sure to like and subscribe towards the end of the live stream. Let's have a conversation, guys. Okay then, okay, so here we go. Firstly, we do have the book map in front of us, but first, let's just understand what's been going on across the board. To the top left, ladies and gentlemen, you can see Bitcoin on the 15-minute time frame. Below that is Ethereum. Then we have the dollar index to the right. And then we have the S&P minis to the top right as well. Now, news announcements. What's been going on? So let's just quickly jump over to the chart over here, and you can see today we had the core price index released at 1:30. And that came out and it showed that it dropped by 0.3%. That's good news. That is good news for us, because that kind of tells us that inflation ain't as bad as it is. Now, it's the Federal Reserve's primary inflation measure. So inflation is important to the currency valuation because rising prices lead the central bank to raise interest rates out of respect to their inflation containment mandate. Now, on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, we've just had the unemployment claims that came in more than what they had anticipated. They had projected 228,000 unemployment claims, and it came in at 231. Personal income stayed the same at 0.5%, which was in line with their projections. But more importantly, personal spending had reduced. That's a problem. As much as it's a low impact reading, it's a problem if people's spending is slowing down. Because what does that mean? People are starting to feel the tightness of the economy. They're starting to get the impact of what's going on. We can understand that in relation to the way oil has been behaving. So we flip over to oil and we can see oil has been dropping down lower. So we would want to see oil drop down so that we could agree with the idea that if they're controlling inflation with the base rate that they have just done, given that it was 75 base points, then we're going to start seeing inflation start to release and slow down. But they're throwing the idea of recession as well. They're throwing the idea that there is still more downside to come. Now, whatever it is that these economists say, okay, the market will always price it into the future. They will price it in now. Looking at the dollar index, you can see that the dollar index has been moving up quite aggressively. Now, whether the news has been positive or negative, ultimately, we need to understand if they're going to maintain the idea of dollar dominance. And remember, Bitcoin can't move higher if the dollar dominance is still present, okay? Now, you can see that Bitcoin is showing some interesting behavior. So if I increase the chart itself, you can see that Bitcoin has taken the nosedive to the downside and tapped that 18,900 and then reversed back up in towards what we would anticipate to be the reversal to the 50 EMA. Problem that we've got, guys, is we're not really seeing that conviction. This is what you've got to be aware of when you are trading during times like these, okay? You have to be very cautious. Why? Because if you zoom out on the charts, you can see Bitcoin bright as day. For every retrace that they have in the chart, it is met with resistance. For example, you've got the drop, you've got the retrace, hit the moving averages, rejection from that point. Come back up into the moving average, rejection from that point. If the idea that Bitcoin is going to continuously move down lower, ladies and gentlemen, any retrace back up, if you look to try and exploit that, it may not last. So please be careful when you're trying to fade into price, okay? Let's take a look at what is more important with Bitcoin right now. This monthly candle, which finishes in just shy of 11 hours time. Ladies and gentlemen, said it to you last night. The monthly close is going to be a reflection of whether Bitcoin can come back up and recover this red vector candle. Now, that's not to say that Bitcoin's going to come back up and recover this vector straight away. Trust me, I would love the idea of Bitcoin moving back up into this zone, ladies and gentlemen, okay? But unfortunately, the market precedents will always take its toll on everyone. They are going to enforce the idea of, yep, it's a recession, yes, it's inflation, and they're going to put that narrative into the chart. So for every move back up in Bitcoin, just be cautious. We're not ready for these vectors just yet. Why? Because we still got more vectors to the downside, ladies and gentlemen. We still have this wick right here that we need to be paying attention to. We need to be aware of these vector candles right here, ladies and gentlemen. That is liquidity that is still present in the chart. Okay? They already tapped it earlier on. Earlier on in the month, and then they come back up, and now we are coming closer and closer towards this zone. Is this the last zone for Bitcoin? Well, if it takes the economy several more weeks to find its legs, then we would anticipate that this is the zone that Bitcoin would likely hold. If Bitcoin does break beyond the 13,695, then it's all systems go for Bitcoin to do whatever it wants. We can understand why it would come back down towards these points, because this is the point that they last moved from. We have gone beyond the psychological impact of the 20K zone, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? Now we are testing the grit. We are now testing and understanding at what point are people going to say, that's it, I'm done, capitulated, I'm out of the game. Let's just quickly pull up the glass node, ladies and gentlemen, just to understand where we are in that chart itself. I like to check this out every single day when we come to the charts. Here we go. Glass node even lower, ladies and gentlemen. It's pointing down even lower. I would love to see a mini W formation in the capitulation chart. That would be awesome. But let's just get back to the basics of it. This means that traders are now giving up on the idea that price coming back up might not be something that happens anytime soon. Okay? So going back into Bitcoin itself, ladies and gentlemen, rolling out onto the 1 hour time frame, we can see that the narrative is still favoring to push Bitcoin down lower. Any retrace back up, we would welcome. Of course, it's midweek Thursday today. Thursday is the midweek reversal, but last couple of Thursdays, we have seen Bitcoin's retracement not being solidified. We haven't seen that aggressive push back up. Okay? So be mindful. If people are saying that this is the bottom, just be very cautious. Do your own research. The game of trading is all cyclical. They will always bring it back to the pools of liquidity, ladies and gentlemen, just to get the same people who say this is the bottom to get them to buy at the wrong time. Okay? Now, what we are seeing across the board is the S&P seems to be holding very well. It hasn't reacted the way we would anticipate, given that this situation with inflation, although it's coming down, we have the problem of people not spending money and more people are out of work. That's going to put pressure and introduce the idea of recession. Cathie Wood says that we are already in a recession, whatever these people say. Hedge funds are even talking about the idea that there is still more downside in the marketplace. So it's all down to what it is you guys decide to do. If you guys are holders, or if you guys are traders, or if you are both. The ultimate goal when you're trading cryptocurrency or trading any asset is to pay yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. It's not about being in trades too long. It's not about making sure that you got diamond hands. It's about making sure that you exploit the moves that happen in the charts. Now, it looks as though that we might be getting some activity happening. Let's just quickly flip over to Ethereum for my guys who hold Ethereum. Let's go into the smaller time frames. You can see that Ethereum has completely recovered that nasty green vector candle right there, ladies and gentlemen. I do believe in last night's video, we actually had a conversation about Ethereum. Let me just bring that down. Here we go. Here is the image of Ethereum breakdown to vectors to the patrons of the channel that we were talking about these vector points in the chart that we needed to be aware of. Now, just a quick one as well. Please do not consider joining the Patreon unless you wait until the start of a new month, because you'll be charged twice, ladies and gentlemen. So just please be careful of that. Look at this. Ethereum tends to move faster than Bitcoin. All right, this is important. Forget that. It moves faster than Bitcoin. Does that mean we focus more on Ethereum, or do we focus on Bitcoin? You see, Bitcoin trades more because there's more capital being put into Bitcoin. Ethereum is up next, okay? But yet Ethereum moves faster, all right? So what you want to understand, guys, is this. When you see Ethereum coming towards certain points in the chart, Pay attention to what Bitcoin's doing and then look at what Ethereum's doing. You see, this week, Ethereum had rejected and tested the psychological low, which is what we wanted Bitcoin to do, but Bitcoin didn't make it to the psychological low. So if Ethereum's going to follow and move away from the psychological range, we would make the assumption that Bitcoin is probably going to be doing the same if it couldn't maintain the strength to get back up into that range. As you can see, going into that zone, we're talking about Tuesday. That's what happened right there. Bitcoin didn't take it, but Bitcoin did form the structure, M formation, drop to the downside, yippee-ki-yay. You see what I'm saying? Okay? Now, going into price action itself, we can see that this green vector candle, although we anticipate when we see green vector candles appearing at the lows, all right, you have to look at the environment, all right? Down below, we have the range daily low. Now, principle says that price is likely to end up at these points in the chart because it will be testing the intention of traders who were previously in positions at this point. So if we zoom out, we can see that Bitcoin is approaching and looking like it wants to take this green vector candle in this zone right here, ladies and gentlemen. The only way that we can truly understand if that's going to be the case, guys, is if we start paying attention to what's going on in the book map and we start looking at exo charts, just so that we can diversify our decision-making process to make sense of what's going on inside of these candles, okay? So here we are. Let's roll this out. Put this here. Happy days. We got that. Wicked. Now, the book map. What is it about the book map? Some people use it. Some people don't use it. Spend enough time understanding it, then you'll understand what I'm trying to do with it. In front of us, we can see there is a lot of commitment on both sides. All right, we can see we've got nearly 673 Bitcoin orders at 18,870. What we want to see is we want to see that liquidity remains in the chart. That's important because you saw what happened yesterday, guys. Yesterday in the live stream, they had 650 Bitcoin in around the 20K zone and they kept it there, but price wasn't getting close towards it. Then they removed that liquidity. And then, of course, Bitcoin decides to make the move down lower. OK. Likewise, we can see 466 Bitcoin up here, 560 at 19,000, 110, 210 or 110. Yeah, 410. And we're not really seeing commitment higher. You can see they've already liquidated some longs up, some shorts up here, but it doesn't look like they're favoring shorts. It looks like they're favoring to hit the liquidation points for the longs because people are desperate. They want to try and catch the bottom. They're going around social media trying to find a reason to believe that Bitcoin is at its lows. Is Bitcoin at its lows? Type 1 if you think it is at its lows. Type 2 if you think it's going to go to even lower price points, 10K, 5K, whatever opinion it is you have of price. You need to make the commitment and say, look, I'm looking for movement. I don't care about price. But some of the greatest stock traders will say it. They never made their career on catching bottoms. The economy is going to dictate what happens in cryptocurrency. The idea of crypto's great. Don't get it twisted. But it's not enough to move the economy. Okay? Now, looking at Bitcoin right now, guys, we're probably going to start speeding things up. We're coming into the final 15 minutes before the futures markets open. They're going to react to the idea of inflation coming lower, but the idea that unemployment claims has increased. Remember, next week, ladies and gentlemen, Friday, we have the non-farm payrolls. Next month, we also have the idea of the FOMC doing the federal fund rate again. Are they going to increase it by 75 basis points? Who knows, ladies and gentlemen? If the core price index itself has come down lower, that means things might be working, but for how long? Okay? Bitcoin right now looks like it wants to come and test that VWAP. That VWAP, which is the volume weighted average price. Okay? Now you can see they spent a little bit of time playing around in this zone and the deltas have been coming in. 530 Bitcoin absorbed at this price point of 19,258. We also had some sells hit at 630 Bitcoin at 19,238. The idea is that if Bitcoin breaks below the VWAP itself, then we're going to understand that Bitcoin's going to be trading lower for the day. That liquidity down there has now increased to 702 Bitcoin, and we have got this area right here, which is a cause for concern. Why? When I expand the chart out, ladies and gentlemen, you can see we have got a plethora of liquidity down here, and the idea is this. These orders here to the bottom left of the chart had been placed in the order book but had been cancelled. That means that if price is going to come back down towards this point, the idea is that the limit buys would be triggered and then they would activate these guys to step in. But if it doesn't do that, then price will likely continue down lower. Now, for my guys who are favoring the higher price action and looking at the chart saying, what if it goes back up? What if it goes back up, Tino? Okay, then. So what do we need to see Bitcoin do? We need to see Bitcoin make its way back up above the 50 EMA on the 15-minute time frame for us to understand that they're going to try and take some more ground to the upside. So whether that will be a drop, a retrace, continuation to the upside. That is what we would in principle want to see, okay? Because then they'll be coming back into the pools of liquidity. But the problem that I've got with that, ladies and gentlemen, is if Bitcoin does come back up to the 50 EMA, what if it breaks down from that point? Last week's low was a promise, which we were talking about a couple of days ago. They took last week's low. They've taken the key points in the chart. The only next key point in the chart, ladies and gentlemen, is the range daily low. And that's for today's session. Okay? Now, some of you guys on Exo charts might look at your charts and say, okay, what is nearby? We've got the daily low over here, and we also have the monthly low down at 17,567. Some guys will trade towards those points, okay? They would wait to see if Bitcoin can actually show strength to move away from this zone. Looking at the delta itself, guys, you can see that we've got a plethora of negative deltas coming into the chart. And now we're seeing some positive deltas coming in, but the positive deltas are starting to slow down. That is something that we need to pay attention to. What's Mr. Market Maker trying to do at this point, guys? Is he trying to hit the bids or is he trying to lift the ask? So we're going to go back into price action and make sense of that. We've got 15 more minutes. 10 more minutes until the start of a new futures markets. The markets themselves are not fully open yet, and it's always going to be about the futures. Let me just start pulling up some other assets to make sense of what's going on. Let me just quickly have a look at Euro USD. Euro USD is making a nice little retrace back up, hit the range weekly low. Now remember, when Euro moves up, that means the dollar index is going down. Quickly flip over to the dollar index. You can see it's coming down, but the futures markets are yet to open. Dollar yen at the same token is still consolidating and holding in and around this zone. Beyond the 136 mark, made a high of 137, the most that it's done in the past 20 years, ladies and gentlemen. That is phenomenal for dollar yen. Again, until the Japanese yen decides to do something about their deflationary coin asset itself, then dollar yen's going to keep on moving. But as I said to you guys, it's always going to be the idea of dollar dominance coming into the chart. Okay? Now, what you got to remember as well, ladies and gentlemen, the S&P itself. How's the S&P fared today? Okay, the S&P has got the range daily low and the range weekly low. All right? Now, if the S&P does actually break down at the 50 EMA, then we're going to anticipate Bitcoin to move down. But what you've got to be aware of, guys, is this. Bitcoin doesn't necessarily move straight away. They'll move the main indexes. They'll move other assets. Bitcoin will follow afterwards, and we've noticed that. They did it yesterday. Look at what happened yesterday in price action. Everything was flat across the board. And then in the Asian session, they ripped it to the downside. Okay, so you've got to be aware of that. When price action stalls during the most liquid time of the day, that means that they are actually accumulating, preparing for a move later on. Okay, going into the USDT chart itself, ladies and gentlemen, the US dollar dominance in cryptocurrency has come back up and recovered that previous vector zone that we've been talking about. That tells us right now that traders who were picking up Bitcoin in the past are now going back into USDT and taking profits. Now, the idea is that could USDT end up coming up back up towards that 8.5%, 9% zone? I mean, we still got vectors all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. 10%. Could you imagine USDT going up to 10%? Where would that send Bitcoin? That would send Bitcoin down to like the 10, between the 15 and 16 mark at least. Okay? Now, more importantly, guys, the yields themselves are trading lower. Okay? And that obviously means yields down, dollar down. So which is why we can understand that dollar yen is actually making a move down lower, coming in towards yesterday's low itself, still holding within this range right here. But dollar yen has been I've been waiting for dollar yen to come down at least. Come on. It's been too long for dollar yen lately to be moving higher and higher. So go back into Bitcoin itself. Just see if we are going to see that movement in the chart with Bitcoin. Here we are. I'm not seeing that commitment. The US Brinks box itself isn't really moving the way I want it to move, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get the book map up. Here we go. We've got this consolidation right here. It's just not right. They're doing it again. They are holding price. Now we've got 669 Bitcoin up here, ladies and gentlemen. Got to keep an eye out on this. And down here, we still got that 624. So they've taken around 90 Bitcoin off this area because it was around 720 not so long ago. And the idea is that we want to see if these two pools of liquidity right here are going to hold. If it disappears, then it's a spoof order. They're trying to trap traders. So here we go. Got some movement right now, 19,218 Bitcoin. Are they building more shorts above the key notable area, ladies and gentlemen? There's that 19K. Are they trying to run for shorts? Are they going to actually run back up towards the 50 EMA to test that so that we can have more information about the midweek reversal? Because Bitcoin in principle is reversing for Thursday. The midweek reversal looks like it's playing out, but for how long? Given the narrative of the market across the board, ladies and gentlemen, I want to see more of a test on the VWAP itself. There's liquidity down here at 17,000, so longs are getting liquidated in this zone. So naturally, the market's going to turn towards those points because that's where the dead money resides. 600 Bitcoin down here, 18,930. Down below, we got 286 Bitcoin orders. So collectively around 800 Bitcoin in this zone, but the liquidity isn't going anywhere. All right, it's up here that I'm more interested in. How long is it going to stay up here? So the guys who are paying attention down here, get the other guys to pay attention to stuff up here as well, because they seem to be stacking up 15, nearly 2,000 Bitcoin plus up in this zone. Now it's getting darker. That's getting red. That tells us liquidity is coming into the order book at 19,500. We need to see Bitcoin break out to the upside to absorb that. If they can't hold the VWAP right here, ladies and gentlemen, then there's no game to move higher today. Then it will be a straightaway move for Thursday. And we won't have ourselves a midweek reversal that we are looking to actually take advantage of. Let me have a look at what you guys are saying in the chat itself. Are short-time vectors mean short-time moves? Great question, Thea. So, the longer the candlestick, okay, the idea behind a vector candle itself, ladies and gentlemen, is how often price changes hands in that candlestick. The length of the candlestick is usually going to dictate the speed that they're trying to move towards a certain point in the chart, okay? The smaller the candlestick, so sometimes you might see a candlestick like this, all right? Which is a stopping volume candle. Now, a stopping volume candle principle works like this. If Mr. Market Maker has been absorbing price and he's been going long in this area here, he's been forcing price down lower and lower, okay? And you can see that from the red vector candles. Now, when he comes to this point right here, he would have trapped enough traders to the downside. Remember, he goes long when people go short. When the bids are hit, the bids can only be dropped, and bids can only happen if there are people selling, but they can only be in place if the buyers are stepping in. Because who are the bidders selling into? Okay? So when you see a vector candle like this, which acts as a stopping volume candle, what it's telling you is market maker attacks the range to the downside, but he needs to bring price back up, because if he allows liquidity to be released in this area here, he will then be obligated to fulfill that obligation to the exchange and fulfill all those orders of traders going short, which means that if traders who have been going short on the manipulative move to the downside, Mr. Market Maker may have to start getting ready to release price to move back up at this point. But what if the retail trader has been taking his profits on the way down? So he's going to miss out on that liquidity. He's not going to be able to hit the liquidation points for the retail trader on the left side of the chart, because he would have closed his positions and there won't be no liquidations for them to come back into. So that's why we see these sudden movements, which are stopping volume candles, where they break a range down lower. They trigger the retail trader to go short at the lowest point, because that's what retail traders are taught. They're taught to go short at the lowest point and buy at the highest point. Why? Because when it's rising, it means you buy. And when it's falling, it means you sell. No, you buy when it drops, you sell when it rises. Because what do you do when you buy an item that you plan to sell in the future? You wait until you can sell it at a higher price. You don't buy something for you to sell it at a cheaper price, given the circumstances, depending on what it is we're talking about. But the basic math of it dictates you buy low and you sell high. Mr. Market Maker doesn't go short from here. The retail trader does. Mr. Market Maker goes short from here. He sells into premium. So a little understanding between the bid and the ask is going to help you understand the relationship of whether price moves up or down. And that's all it can do, guys. Bitcoin can only go up and down. Dollar index can only go up and down. And your goal as a trader is to try and understand the why, so that then you have a better chance of establishing the when. It's all probabilities, ladies and gentlemen. Trading is probabilities. No one in the game of trading will tell you that price is going to go from here to here indefinitely. They'll just say it's going to go lower. It's going to go lower. If I say midweek reversal for Bitcoin, we've had that midweek reversal, ladies and gentlemen. Look, from the low here, it's Thursday. It's reversed. That's how it is. How much of a reversal are you expecting for you to understand it to be a solid reversal? Does it need to go all the way up to 20,000 to establish a reversal? Don't get twisted, guys. I would love that to be the case. Which is why I'm always banging on to you guys. Pay yourselves when you make yourself some money in this game. The idea is you get in, you get out. Fast in, fast out. Because Mr. Market Maker ain't going to ruin his business model. He can bring Bitcoin all the way down towards the most majestic zone. And we're talking some bad zones right here back in the day. Okay? He could bring it to this point. He can also bring it back up. The same way they took $2 trillion is the same way they can put it back in. Okay? This is the most important area for Bitcoin right now, ladies and gentlemen. Between the 13 and, of course, the 18,500 zone. Speculation across the board is going to dictate. Bitcoin can't go to this point. You've got Saylor buying another 600 Bitcoin. What has that done to the charts? Nothing. It just tries to install confidence. The crypto enthusiasts will always try and install confidence, but you've got to stick with the narrative of what's going on across the board. If they're all favoring lower prices and the Nasdaq is dropping and the S&P is dropping, dollar dominance is moving up, it's going to keep moving down until otherwise, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? So as always, pay yourselves. Now look, we have got ourselves just 2 more minutes until the start of the actual futures markets opening. We're not really seeing that much activity. I'm waiting for when the US Brink session initiates the stop hunt zone. Remember, the stop hunt zone itself, we're going to pull off our box. Always draw this box out, ladies and gentlemen, during your trading to give you a template of what you could be expecting. If the US Brink session is appearing at the lows of price, we would anticipate the following. Up, down, stop in hunt, and then make the move back up. Okay? Likewise, excuse me. Likewise, we would expect at the top side, we would want to see stopping volume, hunts up and down, stop hunts to send price down lower. Okay? This is where we are right now. Okay? So we now need to try and make sense of the idea that if Bitcoin is going to move higher into this point and the stop hunts come into play, are they going to try and entice traders to step in to go lower before they go higher? Because let's face it, this could be a nice little W formation, ladies and gentlemen. I'd welcome that. All we're waiting for now is a little bit of a retrace lower, trap the traders who believe it's going to go lower and continue to go lower for them to sharply come back up. But it's all down to how the futures market responds to what information has come out today. Is the narrative of inflation and recession still a worry for traders? Let's just break down our charts right now so that we can understand where we are. Ethereum seems to be doing okay. Dollar index is just pulling back to the 50 EMA, and S&P is still struggling at this point. They're doing exactly what they did yesterday, ladies and gentlemen. Keep an eye out on Bitcoin. I'm going to bring the book map up. I ain't speaking to Steve, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't speaking to Steve. Question, Ryan. Buyer required to sell, seller required to buy. But what about minting and burning of tokens? Can you explain the relation? Okay, we're talking about trading. Anything outside of crypto, outside of trading, will be the reflection of traders' sentiment in trading. Okay? So, for example, here we go. Futures markets are opening. Keep an eye on the charts. So, for example, if there is a situation with miners. Look what happened before when China was trying to cut the idea of mining happening in Bitcoin. Did it really affect Bitcoin drastically? Did it affect the idea that traders were going to not be able to trade Bitcoin? No. Okay? It's an entity that is separate to the utility of cryptocurrency. Nothing to do with futures. Futures is, I believe Bitcoin's going to go up. I believe Bitcoin's going to go down. I'm going to use leverage and take advantage of that. What reasons I have for Bitcoin to go up and down will be based on minting, tokens, all right? Whatever's happening behind the scenes in cryptocurrency, regulation. So that's really all that's going to affect it. Anything outside. No different to the macros that we look at in relation to the dollar index. All right, we've just had some information about the dollar. And now we're waiting for the impact of it. Here we go. Futures markets are now open, ladies and gentlemen. Now we've got some interesting activity happening in the chart. S&P spiked up. Bitcoin isn't really showing us that move just yet. I need to bring on the 15-minute time frame because this is where it's going to start getting interesting. Here we go. Here we go. Right, we've just hit some liquidation points in the book map. Not that many liquidation points, to be honest with you, because they're favoring, it looks like they're favoring the lows because that's where most of the liquidation points are. Bang. 26K liquidations, 17,000 right there. Principal would say that they're going to work in threes. If they break below the VWAP itself, then that would dictate the narrative of the rest of the session. Remember what I said to you earlier on, ladies and gentlemen, about the liquidity at the top side? Ain't there anymore, guys. It's not there anymore. Now we're still focusing on this 18,000 zone right here. That liquidity is still present in the chart. And there's that liquidity down here as well. So you got to be paying attention to the chart, guys, because if Bitcoin does release down lower, remember, it's the futures market. It's 3 p.m. is the magic hour. We've got nothing happening in the charts until that point. Now look at it. 55K worth of liquidations coming in. They look like they're wanting to go into the liquidity down below because that's where they're getting interest. Nearly 1,000 Bitcoin down below at 18,840. If that disappears, ladies and gentlemen, that will act as a spoof, but it looks like it's holding because they removed the liquidity up here. They obviously don't think it's going to go higher, so they've taken out the liquidity out of the order book until otherwise, because they may put it back in if they can hold this VWAP right here, ladies and gentlemen. Just looking at the S&P, it's aggressively pulling down. Dollar index still doing its own thing right there, appreciated of 105. Now they're adding that liquidity right there, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting busy. It's getting busy, guys. They're hitting the long liquidation points. Again, traders believing that the bottom is in are now paying the price for it, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting busy. They're still holding that liquidity. Ideally, I want to see that liquidity stay whilst price makes its way towards it. Because if they do remove it, then it's going to tell us that they're probably just not going to find any interest down here. So they could actually reverse back up. So keep an eye out on the charts, guys. When we speak into speculation, we're always going to be saying it could go up, it could go down. We're talking about real-time price action right now. I ain't going to say to you, Bitcoin could go up and then come away and then give you a video later on tonight and say, oh, it ended up going up or it ended up going down. I'm trying to get you to understand how to read price. You can see they've consolidated price. The deltas were positive up here, but no follow-through. Are they building shorts above key notable areas to follow through with them? Today, and this move is going to dictate. If Bitcoin can't hold the VWAP right here, the prospect of a reversal from this point is going to go to the dustbin, okay? But if they can break through this point and move lower, then you'll have to make a decision about your positions, ladies and gentlemen. But we want to see it hold that VWAP. If it can't hold it, it's done. Look at the support that's down here. But problem is, we got liquid. Look what's going on here now. Where's that liquidity gone? Where's that liquidity gone? Look at that. Look at how they removed that liquidity. That's giving us information now. That resting order has now disappeared. We just spoke about that. S&P is now moving back up. Okay, dollar index is moving lower. But remember, it's the first half an hour of the markets. Okay, so they are now absorbing the idea of the information that has come out about the dollar. Give them 30 minutes to do that. Then 3 p.m. we will know exactly where we stand with cryptocurrency. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me just have a look at what you guys are saying. Look, guys, I ain't going to tell you if it's going to go up. I ain't going to tell you if it's going to go down. I'm going to tell you what it's doing. And if you're following the hybrid system, you're going to understand what I'm saying. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, coming in towards 25 to 3 at quarter 2, we'll be looking to finalize the stream. I am waiting for the test of this VWAP. We dive in a little bit closer into the book map to make sense of what's going on right here. We've got the delta at 447 and we have got 566 Bitcoin orders hitting the charts right there. That tells me something. That tells me delta is starting to rise right here. 8% there, not that much, but we can see that it looks like it's testing this VWAP. The VWAP is going to dictate the rest of the session, ladies and gentlemen. Monthly value area low has been tested once. Now we're going to see if they can actually hold that point. We got any divergences in the delta? No, we haven't. We're not really seeing Mr. Market Maker hitting the highs right here. There's not that much commitment for traders to buy, okay, because he's not selling into premium. Ideally, when you see price at the highest point, you're going to want to see these deltas. Look, you want to see these positive figures right here. Why? Because that means market maker's selling into delta. Sorry, he's selling into premium. That means he's lifting the ask. Now, if he's not going to get any interest from traders to buy from that point, then he's going to get the interest of traders to sell. So that's why he's marking price down lower. Okay? Keep an eye out. 8%, 8%, 23%. The speed of these candlesticks are also an important thing. Look at how soon they finalize. This works on the tick chart, ladies and gentlemen. So price changes hand 2,600 times before a new candle forms. It gives you a little bit more information and understanding about how the candlesticks perform in these charts. Okay, so just keep an eye out. Dollar index coming back up. There's a lot of fakeness going on right now, ladies and gentlemen. They're manipulating the zone. There it is again. That liquidity back down at 18,810, 553 Bitcoin right there. I need to zoom out just a little bit more to understand the liquidity relationship. Here we go. They dismantled it, got rid of it, and put it back into the chart. No interest up here. Now we've broken the VWAP itself, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be the deciding factor if we're going to get another hit on the liquidations. They're going for liquidations for the longs, ladies and gentlemen. This is the holding zone right here. If it breaks this point, then Bitcoin's going to be moving lower because the interest from traders is not present in the chart. This area here, that's a concern for me. I don't like that because if the price does go to that point and doesn't bounce away from it, there's no one interested at that point, then Bitcoin is likely to continue down lower. Ethereum looking like it wants to make its way towards the range daily low itself as well. Keep an eye on that for my Ethereum traders. Looks like a bit of a rejection away from the 50 EMA. No solid move by Ethereum and Bitcoin just yet. Red vector candle on the S&P. It might be a busy day today, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like it might be a bit of a busy day. We've got Delta coming in at 668. Bitcoin again at 19,088. Remember, they built the shorts above key notable areas to get the best possible fill on the way back down again. Here we go. We're getting some movement now. Got this liquidity, 542 Bitcoin at 19,020. Are they going to take that liquidity? Will price break it? We've had a rejection of the VWAP itself, ladies and gentlemen, on the book map. So we understand that it's going to start picking up if they don't follow through with this move. Here we go. Here we go. 554. 19,020. Some liquidity right here. They're hitting liquidations. There's liquidity down here. Traders are going long and they're not paying themselves. Their liquidation points are present. Are they going to hit this point of liquidity, which would then release price down lower to the next price point? Here we go. Is this going to turn into a red vector candle? I want to see if this does turn into a red vector candle, because then we could assume that the next point would be price coming back up to recover it. If it can't fully recover it, then we know that's the weakness in the move. They're getting ready to move down lower, ladies and gentlemen. Another leg to the downside. S&P still dropping down. Dollar index trying to come back up. Need to pay attention to this. I'm seeing it. This arresting order. They want that liquidity. 564, 19,020. Just needs to take it. Then we know exactly where we stand. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 19,020s are going to take that zone. 633 Bitcoin at that point. Oh my days. Come on, make the move. That's going to turn into a red vector candle by the end of the next 6 minutes. If it doesn't, then that's good sign for us, guys. That's a good sign if it doesn't turn into a red vector candle. And the reason being is because Mr. Market Maker ain't aiming to try and mark price down lower just yet. Okay? Look at that. 517 cancelled that order. Back up to 19,050, holding. Maybe a slight retrace back into the VWAP, continuation down lower. I want to see them take that liquidity now before they actually come back up. Oh, my days. If you turn off the price, turn off the sound, the price still stays the same. Well, if we get you out of the channel, you can't say anything, brother. See you later. Anyways, 19,020, 536 Bitcoin at that point. Now, look, I'm giving you real-time breakdown. Now you're seeing the orders coming in. There's a reason why that is static. It's staying there. There's liquidity inside 19,000. Okay, 19,020. Now look, someone's mentioned gold, which is a good point. Let me just bring this up for you. Gold shoots up. Don't like that. This is what I mean about gold. Whenever the news is bad for the dollar, gold shoots up. Okay? But then the bigger narrative of what's going on across the board is dollar dominance. So this move up is likely to see another recovery back down for gold. Gold and dollar yen are very responsive to news announcements. There are traders out there that literally just trade the news and just wait for that to come into play. They're not long-term traders. They just want the news. If the news is negative, happy days, go to gold. Okay? But the dollar dominance looks like it's still coming into play, ladies and gentlemen. We need to be aware of that. Let me just get up S&P right now. Is NASDAQ moving aggressively? Big move by NASDAQ. Could be another bleed day, ladies and gentlemen. We could see some more further downside movement. Bitcoin is not really moving as fast as we would want it to move. But more importantly, what we've got to be aware of. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. They took that liquidity right there. They took that. No, they didn't take that liquidity. They didn't. Yes, they did. They came into it and moved back up. Did they take that 1920? Yes, they did. Here we go. Here we go. No, they didn't. No, they didn't take the liquidity. There's liquidations right here. 35 events of liquidations, $168,000 worth of liquidations at that point. They're testing this narrative right here. What time are we at, ladies and gentlemen? It's now 22:03, ladies and gentlemen. And as always, 3 things that I can guarantee to you in life: death, taxes, and me picking up my daughter before 3 o'clock at every New York live stream. So listen, guys, I'm going to be doing a video for you later on tonight, but Thursday, it's the last day that they can really move price. If they're going to mark price down lower in preparation for a big move on Friday, then today they're going to do it. Bitcoin looks like it's trying to roll out with a move to the downside. We've got the liquidity down here. Keep an eye out on the 18,840 zone, ladies and gentlemen, because that is where the commitment should be coming in, guys. That's where it should be coming in. So if you are new to the channel, mad love and respect for passing through. Be sure to like and subscribe, guys, and I will check in with you all later on today. Take care of yourselves, family. Peace.